Hi everybody, here's Christian from Trace5, and guess what? Just as I finished the last review of the decks that I borrowed from a store, we got these here. These are actually unopened KeyForge decks that we received from Asmodee. So as a reminder, we're gonna be doing a live stream of the preview event on the 20th of October. And so Asmodee were like, we want you guys to be prepared for this streaming event. So we're gonna send you some preview decks as to get you acquainted with the game. And I was kind of like nervous about it because they were, the event is in 1 week and we still haven't received the decks. So I tried to obtain some decks in a different way. But then these also arrived just as I stopped recording the last 2 reviews. So yeah, we're gonna do like a real unboxing today. We're gonna actually open one of these and see what's inside and try to maybe also judge maybe the strength of this deck, how it plays out before we actually get to play the deck. So let me see if I can crack open this one and see what's inside. All right, so this is the deck. So it's the name is the Peg-Headed the Peg-Headed Poisoner of Lacmark. So that's kind of like a weird name. I love the names, by the way. Like there's some really good ones in here. Sometimes it sounds like a random generated name, but sometimes you get some of these hilarious combinations. Peg-Headed, how does that even work? All right, so this is going to be Brobnar Untamed, which I kind of enjoy. So this is the first Untamed deck that I had here. And we have Shadows. So that's actually a good combination, very aggressive, I would say. Lots of good creatures, I guess. And then maybe some stealing. Let's see about that. Now, one thing off the bat, this time I'm not going to actually look through the deck list. So we're going to get surprised by what we're going to have here. All right, so let's start right away. So I guess we can start with the Brobnars, and this is going to be Coward's End. I'm not familiar with that one. So it's an action, and it says destroy each undamaged creature, gain 3 chains. Undamaged creatures. Okay, so only... okay, got it. Huh, interesting. So you kind of have to... You want you guys to survive, you have to put some damage on them. That's kind of interesting. Okay. So some mass removal here. Next up we have Smith. So this one gives you actually an Ember, and it says gain 2 Ember if you control more creatures than your opponent. That should be no problem with Brobnars and Untamed. The next one is gonna be a Tremor, a stunning creature in each of its neighbors. We had that as in previous decks. I think this is really great. I think like stunning a lot of creatures, that's such a strong move. Oh man, it slows down the opponent so hard. Oh man, this is the deck after my taste. We have 2 Tremors. I like this a lot. All right, so this time we have also a Gauntlet of Command, which is an artifact. And it says ready and fight with a friendly creature as an action. Ooh, I like it. So with this guy out, you can like attack a lot, right? So you can attack or maybe reap even, and then use the Gauntlet of Command to attack one more time with the same creature. So that's really sweet. All right, so this is Valder. This is kind of like a stock Brobnar creature, I guess. It gets +2 damage when attacking, or +2. It deals +2 damage when attacking an enemy creature on the flank. It's 6 strength. We have 2 Valders. I mean, they're not really rocking my world, I have to say. They're kind of like, okay, they're not really changing too much. They're just like, vanilla beefy dudes, or I guess dudettes in this case. All right, this is Bumpsy. And the Bumpsy says, play, your opponent loses 1 Ember. So, I don't know, I kind of like this a bit more. I mean, still kind of like a really vanilla dude, but it has an on-play effect. So if there's some kind of bouncing happening here, you can maybe trigger this multiple times. And I kind of like creatures that do something else rather than fighting. Fire Spitter, yeah, we had this with this guy before as well. So this one is before fight, deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. When you have multiple of those out, they can be like really amazing board wipes, kind of like mass damage kind of things. But I think even if you're... So there's a bit already, I'm seeing a bit of an anti-synergy happening here. Like you have Fire Spitter, but we have also Coward's End, right? So with a Fire Spitter, you will deal a lot of damage. or at least like you damage a lot of creatures, but then those will be spared with Cower's End. So that's kind of like a bit of an issue here. Let's see. So this is Gengar Chieftain, another creature. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. Oh, when you play him, you may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. I like this guy. This is fun. This looks fun. I also like that he looks a bit like a robot. It takes 2 to fight, but more is better. So it's a bit sad that, so you have like 2 neighboring creatures, right? But there probably won't be ever a situation where you can use him to fight with 2 creatures, right? So it's always like because you always have to play on the side. So you always will just have 1 neighbor at a time when you play him. And also I kind of don't like that that's only fight. It would be nice if it was use a friendly creature. This is another creature, a Lomer Flame Fist. And he is a 5-strength creature, giant, another giant. Play if your opponent has 7 or more, they lose 2. 7 or more amber, they use 2. Okay. I thought his name would turn out to be metaphorical. Well, he literally has a flame fist. Oh, we have 2 of those guys. Huh, interesting. Okay. So I really have like 3 creatures from Brobnar that kind of like can maybe make your opponent lose Ember. That's kind of nice. Okay, so we're moving on to the shadow creatures here. So far, Brobnars, I wasn't really that over the moon about them. Shadows, we have Nerve Blast. Play steal 1 Ember if you do 2 damage to a creature. I like this. This is kind of like a very nice little event that you can play every now and then. It seems like we're not having a what is this? The deal. I already forgot it. Anyway, let's continue. Oubliette. This is an action, and it says play purge a creature with power 3 or lower. So this is really great because not just removal, but also the creatures actually purge and remove from the game. So this can be really good for creatures that you don't want to see being reborn or anything like that. That's kind of nice. Oh yeah, so I remembered. Yeah, so it turns out that this deck doesn't have a switch and bait. So it's a Shadows deck without a switch and bait. Okay, so this is Master Plan. Put a creature from your hand face down beneath Master Plan. And then Omni, play the card beneath Master Plan, sacrifice Master Plan. So it's kind of like a library, right? It's an artifact that you play and you put the card from your hand underneath. And then in every faction, you can then play this one out. Okay. Okay, but you don't have to get it on your hand. You can play it from underneath Master Plan. It's a neat kind of thing, but it's, I mean, at least you get an Ember here, but it doesn't really, like, completely rock my world right now. Special delivery. We already had that before. And again, you get an Ember for this. It's an artifact, an Omni artifact. Sacrifice special delivery, deal 3 damage to a flank creature. If this damage destroys that creature, purge it. Something I really like about special delivery is the artwork on here. Like usually the artwork is very fun, okay, same-ish. But sometimes you get like these standouts artwork, and that's definitely one of them where you have like this, seems to be like a Logos robot and trying to open a present, and the present has some cables running around here. So clearly the special delivery is about to, unleash a surprise. Ooh, we have 2 special deliveries. I like this. That's really nice. Okay, so we have a rare. So this is Mac the Knife. He's elusive. He's a creature, 3 strength. You may use Mac the Knife as if it belonged to the active house. Action, deal 1 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, gain 1 Ember. I really like Mac the Knife. So he's kind of like I guess like an assassin that you keep in the back, right? You can keep using it for every house, so it kind of like pops up surprisingly. And then you can use him in every faction to deal 1 damage to a creature. And then even if he finishes off already wounded creatures, then you even can potentially get some Ember from this. Very flexible creature. I like him a lot. 3 strength is a little bit low, but that's kind of like that's kind of par for the course for the Shadows. They always have 3 strengths. The only problem with that, there's like this mass removal that we had for the Brobnar faction that removes creature strength 3 or lower. So all of these creatures will just get removed from this mass removal. Okay, so this is Nexus. We already saw this in a previous deck. This one is elusive. So, you know, the first time you basically have to attack them twice to do any damage to them. Again, it's 3 strength, and this is reap yours or use an opponent's artifact as if it were yours. I kind of like them because they're kind of like these, you know, 3 strength creatures that are kind of like can reap stuff. You reap with them anyway, and then you get some additional bonus with the reaping. Something to note. So because the way you ready creatures and artifacts in this game is kind of different than it worked in Magic, when you use an opponent's artifact, you kind of you exhaust it. So you tap it. And they unexhaust at the end of your opponent's turn. So not only are you getting the benefits of the artifact, but also the opponent can't use that artifact. So it's kind of like a double advantage from this ability. I like this a lot. And the fact that you can like trigger bombs of the opponent and stuff like that, you know, like fused mines and stuff like that. So that's really nice. So yeah, we have Shadow Self, again, a really nice defensive creature for shadows. It deals no damage when fighting, and damage dealt to non-spectre neighbors is dealt to Shadow Self instead. Ooh, Silvertooth. Silvertooth enters play ready. Strength 2, so not the craziest creature, but hey, usually you play him, I guess, and then you can immediately reap with him, or maybe attack some smaller creature. It's a fine creature. Doesn't have elusive though, interestingly. Usually you see shadow creatures have elusive or skirmish. Okay, we have Umbra. That seems to be like a very common creature for shadows. So she has skirmish. So when you use this creature to fight, it is dealt no damage on your turn. So you can you can be very aggressive with this creature. And that's really good because when you fight with her or with him, I'm not sure, you steal 1 ember. So that's really great. Something that when you put it out, the opponent has to deal with immediately or they will be losing ember every turn. We have 2 of her as well. That's really great. And then we have a silent. Oh, I like this. I saw this today in some other person's review, and that's something that piqued my interest. So this is an upgrade for a creature. You get an ember from this, and it says this creature gains reap, deal 4 damage to a flank creature. So that's really great. Like if you put it on something that is already good at reaping, then you get you can like dish out some serious damage with that creature. Of course, the creature then becomes like a very attractive target for your opponent for removal or attacking. But yeah, that's really nice. I like it. Ooh, okay. So we're moving on to the Untamed. So the fertility chant gives you 4 ember. And then your opponent also gets 2 ember. So that doesn't seem that great. But if you have something that steals the ember, that might be nice. Of course, Brobnar usually don't, or Untamed usually don't steal ember. So that's kind of like, but maybe you give them 2 ember and then next turn you can maybe steal something. But I think most importantly, like if you play this to put yourself in a check kind of position to win the game, the fact that the opponent gets 2 ember, maybe it doesn't really matter. I really like it. Also, it has some really hilarious artwork with this bird just going to town with laying eggs. That's so great. Okay, so this is Fogbank, an action that gives you an ember, and it says your opponent cannot use creatures to fight on the next turn. Really solid, especially since we have already some really nice fighters in here. Full Moon. I heard about this. So this is an action, and for the reminder of the turn, gain 1 ember each time you play a creature. So if you can barf out a lot of creatures, that can potentially yield you a lot of ember. But so far, I'm not sure if we've seen some kind of things that will allow us to barf out a lot of creatures, except from having creatures. Okay, so this is an action called Nocturnal Maneuver. It also gives you an ember and says, play exhaust up to 3 creatures. So we kind of had already the stun ability by Brobnar, so this is kind of like a little bit similar thing. You can be more targeted with what you're going to exhaust, but of course on the other hand, it's just exhausting. It's not stunning. So yeah, it's more of a tactical kind of thing maybe. Regrowth is nice. Return a creature from your discard pile to your hand. So this is good. I can already think of some Brobnar creatures that we already had that trigger when when they come into play. So you can like be aggressive with those Brobnars, get them killed, and then use Regrowth to get them back and play them maybe again. That's kind of nice. Also, obviously, might be also a good thing to for which one? For the full moon, right? So you want to be playing a lot of creatures. So you play full moon, regrowth into some creatures, some untamed creatures in the discard pile, so you can play even more creatures on that turn. So that seems like a good play. Ooh, and we even have the oh gosh, how do you pronounce this? Nepenthe seed. It's an artifact. It's an omni artifact, so you can use it in every turn. And it says, sacrifice Nepenthe seed, return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So again, kind of like this one, like regrowth, but even more flexible. Doesn't give you the amber, but you can keep it around and wait for a good moment to use it. And it works with every type of card, not just creatures. We have a humble Dew Fairy. I like those guys. They're elusive and so you kind of have to attack them twice to kill them. And also they have a reap, gain 1 amber. So you get 2 amber when you reap with them, because you also get, the amber from reaping. And I just thought about equipping the Dew Fairy with a dagger. So you get a Dew Fairy that gives you 2 amber and also deals 4 damage. That would be kind of a hilarious situation. Ooh, we have 2 Dew Fairies. That's sweet. Yeah, that's a really good one. Dust Pixie, kind of like a similar to Dew Fairy. Don't get those two confused. Dust Pixie is even smaller. It doesn't have any features, but if you play it, you get 2 amber. So that's kind of nice, because we also had some cards that allows you to replay creatures, so that would be probably a good target to replay. We have the Niffle Ape. Niffle Ape is when Niffle Ape is attacking, ignore Taunt and Elusive. Really good against those shadow decks with those crazy elusive creatures that are really nasty that you have to attack a lot of times. Niffle Apes takes care of those. Although with 3 strength you usually get killed in the process. But hey, at least we got those pesky guys from the board. Oh, Hunting Witch. I love the Hunting Witch. This is a creature I really enjoy. Each time you play another creature, gain 1 amber. What is it? Is it food? 2 strength is not that great. Doesn't have any elusive or anything, so probably not going to be sticking around on the board. But those 2, this ability can pile up very quickly if you start playing a lot of creatures. Witch of the Eye. Reap. Return a card from your discard pile to your hand. Ooh, I like this. So we have a lot of recursion in this deck, actually, especially the Untamed part got a lot of recursion here. And with her, we definitely can get like a lot of, we have some really good targets to get back. Waste not, want not. Okay. 3 strength, Human Witch. Interesting. The human in Untamed. Okay, and the next one is kind of like our deck list. So let's see, what are our... so actually we had some people commenting on the last video, and they actually... I'm not going to show you the deck list yet, because this is actually my deck now. And there's like this QR code on here. And that QR code might be used in the future to kind of claim this deck on an online thing. So I don't want to be showing this necessarily right now. Or wait a minute. All right, here's a makeshift solution for this problem. So let's look through this deck list real quick. So it seems like we have 3 rares. This is going to be this was Master Plan, Mac the Knife, and Fertility Chant. Something that some people commented on one of the last videos was specifically it was Jalestro on YouTube. He said that there is actually you don't always have 3 rares. Sometimes it's less and more, and sometimes it's more. So in this case, we have still 3 rares, but again, not evenly distributed. What do we think about this deck? What do you guys think about this deck? Is this a good deck? Here are some of my thoughts. Okay, so something I like to do, I noticed before, is to go through the cards that we have multiple of to kind of see what's happening. Now, there's not always like interesting things happening. So having two of Valdir is like, I guess we have some creatures. Doesn't really like do too much to our deck, I would say. Although we have some things that benefit from creatures. I do, however, like the fact that we have two special deliveries. That's a lot of special deliveries. This allows us to kind of like ping opponents' creatures, maybe giving us the ability to control the board state, especially since we have some beefy Brobnar dudes. We also have the Oubliette, yet another ability to control the board, and we have also some other creatures and things that allows us to do direct damage. I like this. So this seems to be like more of a board state control kind of deck. We have two Lomir Flame Fist. Yeah, oh man, the moments where you can play him and get advantage from his ability are so rare. There's literally probably just like two moments in the game where you can pull them off, right? He only actually really does anything if your opponent has 7 amber. If the opponent has 8 amber, you play him, and they lose 2 and still forge a key. I loathe the moment. I already can anticipate this moment where you have him on a starting hand and you're like, should I play him now or should I wait for my opponent to actually start winning the game? I don't know. Not the best one, but it is a something to note. It is a play ability. So whenever we have play abilities, because we have some other things that might help with those. For example, we have Witch of the Eye, we have Seed, and we have Regrowth. So all of these allow us to maybe get back creatures and replay them, re-triggering their when come into play abilities. So with these guys, we might actually like play them if they don't do anything, wait for an opportune moment, then maybe sacrifice them in a fight and then get them back. Just a bit of a pity that all of these are. Well, I guess a Nepothene Seed. You could get the creature, I guess, back with a Nepothene Seed if you actually activate a House Brobnar. So that would be nice. So these things, I like these cards. This is one of the reasons why I like House Untamed. Just 2 of them is not horrible, but it's also not like rocking my world. I like to say that a lot in the recent reviews right now. Something I would wish for when I have these kind of cards in the deck, I wish I would have some ability to set up those power turns. So I wish I would have some kind of archive related cards, and so far I've seen none of these. So I really have to rely on me actually drawing into those creatures. I don't even have any kind of draw stuff, so I guess we would love to have some logos to kind of fuel these guys. We only have the recursion that helps with these. So that would be kind of maybe nice. When you sacrifice a lot of creatures already, then you can play these things, get back the creatures that are already dead, play them out again, and maybe get some ambers. That seems like a good play. We have 2 Umbras, but that doesn't seem to do much. I mean, they're great creatures. I love them. It's really solid groundwork for shadows, but I don't see like any specific strategy I can do with them. I will be playing them, I will be fighting them, delivering them some damage, and then stealing amber in a process. That seems like a strategy in itself, so to speak. Now, as I said, here are some kind of like good creatures that well, not good creatures, but creatures that do something when you replay them from using, what we had, using the recursion that we had here. So Regrowth, Nepothene Seed, and the Witch of the Eye. So playing all of these creatures, replaying them after they've been killed, that's kind of nice. So this guys allows us to do more fighting. Fighting. This guys allows us to make the opponent lose an ember. This one is kind of nice replaying him because he's already ready, so you're getting more bang for your buck with a silver tooth, so you can maybe start reaping immediately. Fertility Chant, I guess this is not a creature, but replaying Fertility Chant allows us to get a lot of amber. Like just think about this. yeah, let's say you have the Witch of the Eye, you reap with hair, you get an ember for that, you play Fertility Chant, you replay Fertility Chant, you're already at 5 ember. You just need one more ember source to be able to forge a key. That's like, you know, just 3 cards to forge an entire key. Seems like good, seems good. And Dust Pixie, obviously also a good one to replay. Just one of those out there. Would love to see more. There is also some weird thing happening here where we have a lot of things that trigger on reap. I like it because I like reaping and doing some other stuff in as well. But yeah, we have the Dew Fairies, which I adore. We have the Nexus, which allows us to use opponents' artifacts, and we have Witch of the Eye, of course, which returns things to our hand. And then we have also the Silver Dagger, which also kind of like adds additional reap abilities to those creatures. So that's really neat, actually. We, again, putting a Silent Dagger on a Dew Fairy seems like a really hilarious combo. I would love to see that in play. And so the last thing I would maybe consider here is, what are we going to put underneath Master Plan, right? What is the thing that we're going to actually prepare for later? I have no idea. Let me think about this. Okay, so maybe we have 2 special deliveries, so kind of like maybe preparing the special deliveries for you know, opportune moment to get rid of a creature, because, you know, obviously you have to have like really good targets for the special delivery. Just killing a random creature doesn't make sense. Same thing with Oubliette, maybe, you know, waiting for that 3-power creature to show up and be a nasty thing, so you can actually deal with it. We'd already talked about this, so maybe instead of playing the Lomer Flame Fist, you put in with a Master Plan underneath, and then you can play that card. It can be any card, right? Yeah, it can be any card. So you could also put a creature underneath and bring it out when opponent has 7 or more Ember. Although, why wouldn't you just play Flame Fist instead, right? This is also something: destroy each undamaged creature, gain 3 chains. That kind of seems like a very specific kind of thing. And you want to make sure that this doesn't clog up your hand. So maybe you put it underneath Master Plan and make sure that there's a good moment to actually play it. And then, of course, Fog Bank, maybe there's like a really good situation where you really don't want the opponent to attack, and then it will be available through the Master Plan. There is a hilarious thing: if somebody takes control of the Master Plan and triggers your Master Plan, that will be very funny. Also, there's quite a meme going on here. It says here on the Master Plan, it says step 3 profit. So that's kind of like a very nice reference there here. All right, guys, so this is this deck. Let me know what you think of this deck, if this deck will be successful, if this is a good or bad deck. We're, of course, going to test this deck. I'm going to play this, and I will later on let you know if your predictions, if your impressions were right or not. Before we go, there's one more thing. So one person on Reddit actually asked me, what's the quality of those cards? Are these kind of like on par with trading cards? Is this the card stock good? Or are these kind of like, because obviously I think this is a good question, because these cards are printed with some kind of digital print technology, right? Because the card backs are always unique. And so it's not like a regular offset print where you have like, you know, like a template, and you when you print through this kind of template kind of thing, but it's something that is best being controlled by a computer, and a computer prints every card individually. So the question was if you can tell that this was printed through some kind of different technology. And honestly, the quality is impressive. I would not be able to tell that this is digital print. Like seriously, this is just perfect. And I brought some cards with you just as a comparison. So for example, so this is, I don't know, this is kind of like a magic card to compare it, right? And so I don't know, like I can't tell that this was printed through a different technology. Obviously, the artwork, this is a more darker artwork, so it looks more contrasty. But this is just the artwork stuff. The actual print is flawless. Card stock seems to be similar too. Like there's nothing. I cannot feel a difference between those two cards. Maybe this is a bit softer card stock than the Magic cards, but I can't tell. Same thing with Netrunner cards, so other products by FFG. Again, yeah, this could be made in the same printer, and I wouldn't be able to tell. There is a bit of an edge here happening in this specific card, but that could be just this specific card. That doesn't seem broken or anything. It's just like, I think the process of stamping those cards out created a bit of an edge here. No, there's no difference between those either. And I can tell that because there's also this Netrunner card. So this was from the ill-fated draft packs for Netrunner. They were printed also digitally with some kind of different technology. And for those guys, you can tell this has like a plasticky kind of feel, and the colors are slightly washed out, slightly muted. You can tell that this is a bit of a different card from a regular Netrunner card. And if you have two Netrunner cards next to each other, like this one, you can tell that this has way crisper colors than this one. This looks a bit washed out. The blacks are not quite as black as with a real Netrunner card. And again, the cardstock, this is a lot stiffer. This is a bit softer. This has this plasticky feel, and you can see that it is a lot more shiny. Of course, there is also glare happening here, but this has like this satin finish, so to speak, while this is the highlights are more crisper. So this looks a bit more like if it's covered with a top coat, whereas this looks like if it's sandpapered. But none of these effects are present here. This looks like a regular card. This feels like it's made of paper. It's made of paper probably, and you cannot see any patterns or anything or any washed out colors on this one. So this is not a concern. Something that's interesting, if you look in the back, it says here, made in Germany. So apparently they kind of found some kind of printer here in Germany to pull off this thing, because obviously I guess they needed some special kind of printer with they have connections with which has the technology to not only print digitally in this kind of quality, but also that allows them to kind of have access to some kind of algorithm that generates those cards as well. So obviously they had to work very closely together with a printing shop to pull these guys off. And so that's something I want to be asking them in a preview event, if they have some any information of how those cards were produced. It's kind of like a marvel of technology, I would say. You wouldn't be able to create these kinds of cards 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The technology wasn't there. Okay guys, so see you on the next episode. We're gonna crack open the next pack, and then we're gonna see what's inside that one. Bye bye!